Okay class, so even though I'm not here with you today, I basically am, and you're going to have two worksheets that we're going to fill out today. We're going to go over the left side together, which means that you guys are going to be handling the right side for homework tonight, or if we get done with this video in time, maybe you can actually get your homework done in class. So, quick reminder, if I'm talking about the greater than sign, it looks like eating something, so isn't it true that 5 is greater than 4? And then if I want to know the less than sign, I told you guys yesterday that less than looks like an L. So is it true that 4 is less than 5? Yes. So now let's take a look. When we add and subtract across inequality symbols, is there anything different than when we add or subtract across an equal sign? Well, let's take a look. I know you guys don't like the inequality signs, but it's really not that bad. So here's our instructions. Add 2 to each side. So I want you on your paper to take your pencil and you are going to fill these in. I'm grading your notes, and if you don't have this work, it's not going to be fine. Okay? So we're going to add 2 plus 2 to the left, which means plus 2 to the right. And then this is easy math. 2 plus 2 is 4. I'm going to bring down the exact sign, less than. 3 plus 2 is 5. Well, let's just check our work. If we added 2 to both sides, is 4 less than 5? Great. So the inequality sign is very similar to the equal sign. All you have to do is make sure that it follows the right rule. Okay, so let's take a look at subtraction. If we subtract 2 from both sides, so minus 2, make sure you are writing this in your notes. Do so now. 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring down your sign. It's also less than. 3 minus 2, which is 1. Well, let's double check. Is 0 less than 1? Yes. Okay, let's talk about multiplication and division. My new rule, it says multiply each side by 2. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say times 2 and times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. Bring down your sign. Is it true that 4 is less than 6? Okay, what about if I multiply each side by a negative 2? This might be special. Make sure you pay very careful attention. Times negative 2 times negative 2. So here we go. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Bring down your sign. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Is it true that negative 4 is less than negative 6? I don't think so. Here's my number line. 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is a negative 6. This one is a negative 4. And here's all my positive numbers. Is 4 less than negative 6? Negative 6 is less than, it's more negative than negative 4. Is this rule true? Let's think about it. Now I'm going to divide each side by 3. Okay, so let's say divide by 3, divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Bring down your sign. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Is it true that 3 is less than 5? Yes. Well, let's try dividing it by negative 3. Keep in mind, this might be special. Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. Bring down your sign. 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5. Is negative 3 less than negative 5? Here's my 0. 1, 2, 3, that's a negative 3. 4, 5, that is negative 5. Is negative 3 less than negative 5? Uh-oh. Okay. So it says, if we are dividing or multiplying, very important, please circle both words. If we are dividing or multiplying by only a negative number, then we have to actually flip the inequality sign. Okay, so we're gonna leave everything the same if it's addition, subtraction, even if we're multiplying and dividing by a positive number. The only time we flip is if we're dividing or multiplying by what? Negative numbers. Okay, so let's take a look. Write the inequality represented by each graph. Well, now we have a visual representation. If this is what our graph looks like, we can easily verify what number we're talking about. So locate where your circle is. In this instance, it is a 3. So we are going to say x, and let's decide, is it bigger than 3, or is it smaller than 3? If it's smaller, what sign are we going to use? Less than means smaller than, and less than looks like an L. So x is less than what number? 3, and it's an open circle. Do I need an equal sign? No. Let's try number 2. Here's my circle. Okay, so we're just going to say x. We use x every time. X is going to be either less than or greater than. Is x bigger than -1, or is x smaller? Hopefully you said bigger, which means we're going to use greater than. It's like it's eating -1, because that's the number my circle is at, but it's a closed circle. So what does that mean I also need to include? Equal sign. Okay, hopefully there are no questions about this. Pretty simple. Let's take a look. We've got some example problems. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I am solving all of the right side, which means later, not now, you guys are going to solve the left for homework. So before we begin, let me double check the battery on this video camera because I have a feeling it's not working. Oh, good. It's working. Okay. So this looks kind of similar to solving equations. We've got a couple of steps we have to do. It says p minus 9.2 is less than -5. Do me a huge favor. Pretend this less than sign is the same thing as equal for right now. Okay, we're just going to pretend it's equal so you don't get confused. So if I have a p minus 9.2, how do I get p by itself? Take the opposite. The opposite of negative means to add, so I'm adding what number? 9.2, which means whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right. Plus 9.2. So here we go. I am left with a p. P, copy the exact sign, less than, and then -5 plus 9.2 is going to be 14.2. Okay? So P is less than 14.2. Now I'm going to have to actually draw it on the number line. So because my number is pretty big, I'm going to put my 0 way over here because I've got to make it a lot of positive numbers. And then I'm just going to count by 5s. 5, 10, 15. Okay? So we're not quite to the 15, but we're pretty close. And I'm going to put a circle here, close to the 15. It's pretty close. And it does not have an equal sign. So do I need to color it in? No. And then my P is less than. Does that mean I'm going bigger than 14.2? Or am I going smaller? Less than means smaller. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to shade our line all the way this direction. We are smaller than, and we're going to put a big arrow. Done. Okay, so we're just putting into practice what we've already learned and mapping it. Let's try number 6. Don't get concerned about fractions. -1 is less than m minus a half. How am I going to get m by itself? I have to do the opposite. So if it says I'm subtracting a half, what is the opposite of subtraction? Add. I'm going to add a half, which means I'm coming to the left side, and I'm adding 1/2. So now -1 plus a 1/2 is going to give me just a -1/2. I went from negative 1, and I added the opposite sign of a half, so I only have a negative half remaining. Okay? So now, negative 1/2, I'm bringing this straight down, is less than m. When you get your final answer, will you circle it for me? That'll make my life easier to grade. Okay? So we have negative 1/2 is less than m, but if I read it with the letter, m is greater than. Everybody see that this is eating the m? So I'm going to read it the way that my letter starts. M is greater than negative 1/2. Well, because I have negative numbers, I'm going to put my 0 more over here, and I'm going to count by halves. This is negative 1/2. This is negative 1. This is negative 1 and 1/2. Okay? My m is greater than negative 1/2. That means I'm going to go here at negative 1/2. Does it have an equal sign? No. I'm going to leave it an open circle. And because m is greater than, it's eating m, does that mean I'm getting bigger than negative 1/2, greater than, or smaller? Hopefully you said bigger. So bigger than negative 1/2, big arrow. Done. Okay? So let's keep going. You're going to need to probably flip it to the back, or I can't remember. Number 9. All right? 40 is greater than or equal to negative 8x. How am I going to get x by itself? I need to divide, because I have to do the opposite of what is happening here. And you guys all too often miss this question on every test. If this is connected to a variable, you must remember that is multiplication. Negative 8 times x. So what is the opposite of multiplication? Divide. What am I dividing by? Negative 8. Which means over here, I must also divide by negative 8. Now let's remind ourselves, we have a new rule. If we are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, is that a negative number? Am I dividing? So what do I need to do with this sign? Flip it. Only if I'm dividing or multiplying by a negative number. So here we go. Negative 8 divided by negative 8 cancels. That means I am left with an x. And what am I doing to this sign? Boop. Flip it. 40 divided by negative 8 is negative 5. How did I get negative? Because positive divided by negative leaves a negative. Okay, so now remember to read it with your variable first. This says x, it's eating it, is greater than negative 5. Well, because it's a negative number, let's draw our 0 over here. We count by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to say negative 5 is over here. And x is bigger than. It is greater than negative 5. So I am going to put my circle on negative 5. No filling because it's not equal to. And it's bigger than. X is greater. So here we go. Okay, done. This one. I have a division problem already. How am I going to get the n by itself? I must do the opposite. This means to divide, so all I have to do is multiply. What number am I multiplying by? The number that's being divided. I multiply by 3, which means these two cancel. And I need to do the same thing on this side. I multiply by 3 here. I'm going to multiply by 3 here. Keep in mind, am I multiplying by a negative number or a positive number? Positive. Multiplying. Positive. Do I need to flip this sign? No. Only if it's negative. So here we go. N, keep your sign, is less than negative 9 times positive 3 is negative 27. Ooh, that's a big negative number. So here we go. My 0 is way over here. I'm going to count by tens. 10, 20, 30 in the negative direction. And I'm not quite to 30, but I'm pretty close. It says n is less than. That means I'm putting my circle close to the 30, and it's less than, smaller. Is it smaller this way, negative numbers, or is it smaller this way, big numbers? Smaller goes more negative. Done. Okay? Let's keep going. You will now have a second piece of paper called Solving Inequalities Part 2. Please be sure you are on the correct page. Part 2. It's a little bit more complicated. It's multiple steps. So let me check back. We're still okay. All right, first thing, I've got a lot of information going on, but I cannot ever start with multiplication and division. This is kind of the opposite of PEMDAS. You must leave multiplication and division for the end, okay? So I'm going to cover up my variable. I cannot work on it until I move everything else first. So keep in mind, this is a positive 6 minus 11b. I'm covering everything up. That means the opposite of positive is negative. I'm subtracting 6. If I do it on the left, I have to do it on the right. Minus 6. So here we go. These two cancel. I'm bringing this whole thing down. What sign is in front of it? Minus 11b. Rewrite. I haven't multiplied or divided anything yet. So bring this down. Less than or equal to negative 6 minus, negative 3 minus 6 is minus 9. Okay? So now I have multiplication. Negative 11 times b. How do I do the opposite of times? Divide by negative 11. So I'm going to divide this by negative 11, but I'm dividing by a negative number. What does that do to the sign? Flippy flip. Okay? So my negative 11s cancel. I am left with b. I'm flipping, because I divided by a negative, is greater than or equal to two negatives. Negative divided by negative makes a positive 9 over 11. I cannot reduce it anymore. Okay, so if I'm going to draw my number line, I have a positive number. So I'm going to put my 0 down here. And 9 over 11, oof, I don't even want to think about it, but I definitely know it's not quite 1. Okay, so if I put a 1 over here, then I'm going to put 9 11ths somewhere maybe over here, a little bit more than half. Okay, it has an equal sign, so what am I going to do to my circle? Color, we like to color in algebra class. Color it in, color it in. And then b is greater than. It is greater than this number. Am I going to go backwards? Smaller? No. Bigger. So we're going to draw our arrow this way, bigger. Okay? Number 4. Oh my gosh, it looks a little complicated. Don't worry. Distributive property. Okay? The very first thing we have to do is distribute. So make sure to draw your arrows. Okay, since I don't have anywhere to draw them up top, I'm just going to draw them on the bottom. I have nothing to do with this number yet because the only number I'm multiplying by is right in front of the parentheses. Okay, so I'm going to distribute my negative 4 here, here. What am I going to do with this 6? Nothing. Bring it down. 6. And then negative 4 times positive 6 is a minus 24n. And again, negative 4 times positive 7 is negative 28. We're going to leave everything else the same because all I did was distribute. And I did not move anything to the other side. Okay? So at this point, if I were to draw my shapes, circles and triangles, so I have a circle, a circle, a circle, and I only have one triangle. Name of the game, circles on one side, triangles on the other. If I have 2 of the same friends on the same side of my sign, they're friends. What can I do? Combine. 6 minus 28 gives me a negative 22, I haven't done anything with my triangle. I'm bringing it straight down. Minus 24 in is less than or equal to 122. Okay, at this point, the only thing I can do, I'm covering up my variable, which means I have a negative 22. How do I get rid of a negative number? Add it. Plus 22, plus 22. So here we go. Negative 24 in. All I did was add, so I'm keeping my sign exactly the same. Okay? Greater than or equal to 144. How do I get in by itself? It says negative 24 times in. Divide. Am I dividing by a negative number? Looks kind of like it to me. So this cancels. I am left with in, did I divide by a negative number? Flip. Is less than or equal to 144 divided by negative 24 is going to give me, 144 divided by 12, oh man, 24, how many times? 4? I think, no, 8, no, calculator time. I know this. Sorry guys. So we have n is less than or equal to a negative 6 because we have a positive divided by a negative. So then if I want to put that on the number line, it's a negative number. I'm putting 0 over here. 2, 4, 6. This is negative 6. N is less than, smaller, okay? And it is equal to, so put a dot. Less than, done, okay? Number 6. It looks like a lot. Don't worry, okay? A minus 6 less than or equal to 15 plus 8a. Put your circles and triangles. Circle A, circle A. Triangle, triangle. Okay, if I want my A's together, what am I going to do to get this positive 8a on the other side? You're right. Subtract 8a. Subtract 8a. So here we go. 1 minus 8 gives me a negative 7a. Okay. What if I want to put this triangle on the other side to this one? The opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. Plus 6 plus 6. What is 15 plus 6? I'm going to rewrite my sign and just make sure to show you. Same. And now because I added 6, 15 plus 6 gives me a 21. Positive. Okay? In order to get a by itself, it says negative 7 times a. What do I have to do to get rid of that negative 7? The opposite of times, divide. Divide by negative 7. Ooh. Am I dividing by a negative number? Ooh. What am I going to do with my sign? Flip it. We have a is now greater than or equal to 21 divided by negative 7, negative 3. So here we go. 0, 1, 2, 3. This is a negative 3. It says a is greater than, bigger than, or equal to. We are coloring in our circle. Bigger than or equal to negative 3. Okay? Number 8. 28 minus k. Oh gosh. I have to distribute. So we are drawing arrows. Arrows. Okay? We're rewriting 28 minus k greater than or equal to 7 times k. 7k. 7 times negative 4, negative 28. Okay? Put your circles and triangles. Circle my non-triangle, my variables. Okay? If I want to put my variables on the same side, what am I going to do to move that k? It is negative, so I'm going to add plus k plus k. So here we go. I have no k left. I have a greater than equal to 7 plus 1 is 8k. Oh man, that looks hideous. 8k. And then how am I going to get these circles to the other side? I have a negative 28, so I'm adding. Add 28 to a 28, so here we go. 56 is greater than or equal to 8k. Well, how do I get k by itself? It says 8 times k. Opposite of times, divide. Divide by 8, divide by 8. I'm dividing by a positive number. Do I need to flip my sign? No. So 56 divided by 8 gives me 7. I did not flip my sign. Is greater than or equal to k. So now, because my number is positive, I'm going to put my 0. Let's pretend there's a number line down there. My 0 is going to be on this side, so I can make a 7. And then I'm going to put a circle that's closed, because it's equal to, on the 7. And I'm getting smaller than. Please read from the variable. K is less than or equal to 7. Less than. K is not getting eaten. Okay, so when you put your closed circle on the 7, it's getting smaller than. Everybody okay? All right. So here's what you're going to do. With the substitute and no talking, this is not group work. You are answering all of the problems on the left side. Both worksheets. You are putting them inside your EN, and you are turning in both worksheets to me tomorrow for a grade. Make me proud. Use your notes. No talking. Have fun.